Hey everyone, this is Daniel, and in today's video, we're going to talk about SharePoint list templates that include Power Automate flows. Now, this is a new feature that is actually went GA of July of 2022, and you should start seeing these rolling out into your tenants as well. But just in case you don't, I've also shown you a full demo. And what this does is that now when you go ahead and select any of these three templates, these list templates that I'm going to talk about, an additional step shows in saying that, hey, would you like this flow also already created for you? It will be tied to the SharePoint list, and you will even see it in your default environment. So I'm going to walk you through the whole thing. Stick around, this is very important. But first, here's my intro video. So let's get started. Now, the first thing I want to point out that this is literally brand new, because some of you may get confused that, hey, Daniel, I can actually go and select a flow template, a list, or create a brand new one for an existing list. Well, this is completely different. This is as long as you select one of these three list templates, an additional step shows up, and the additional step will actually tell you if you want to go ahead and assign a flow to it. And just to prove that point, right over here is that new feature which is announced in the Microsoft 365 roadmap. The general availability date is July of 2022, which means it's happening right now. And you may or may not see that in your tenant. If you haven't, just wait, it'll eventually show up. And the important point is that it's only available for these three list templates, which is the work progress tracker, content scheduler, and the recruitment tracker. These are the three that it's available. Now, the next important thing that I want to talk about before we jump into demos is the licensing piece. I fully tested to make sure that your existing M365 license that you have with the one which you already use, that will fully suffice. So you don't need to go and get any additional, Power Automate or the Power Apps license for this to work. As long as you've got this M365 license and you've got that functionality to make Power Apps and Power Automate flows turned on for yourself, you can start using these templates as well. So no need to worry about any additional licenses piece over there. So now that I covered these through, let's actually go ahead and take a look at what these templates are and how they work. So here I am on a SharePoint Online site, and I've signed in as Rosanna Christian to prove a point that this user doesn't have the Power Apps per user or Power Apps per app license. It just has an N365 license. We'll still be able to go ahead and work with this new feature. Now there's two ways I can go and create a SharePoint list. I can come to the top left which says plus new, click on the drop down, and I can create a list. Or I can also go to the settings gear on the top right, click on site contents. And once I'm in site contents, I again see the same plus new functionality. So I'll click on the drop down, click on the list, and now you see all the templates functionality available. And for those of you who may not have seen this before or have seen this for the first time, I do want to call out that this is all new. Before, it did not have this whole modern look to it. All you could basically see was just the list name template and a little bit of description, but now it's got this modern look and it has also the nice pictures associated with it. So the first demo we are going to do is actually the work progress tracker, which is this one. So I'm going to click on it. It gives me an overview of what the template is. Again, that's not new. That's always been there. I'll go and say use template. Again, not new. It's always been there. And I'll go and put in an extra live demo one. And I'll just leave the description as is. I'll click on create. This is the new functionality. Here it's what it's asking me. Hey, you're almost there. Do you want to also go ahead and add the due date reminder flow to it? And I'll say yes. I'm going to click on next. And when I go and click on next, it's going to verify what are all the connections needed from the other apps for this Power Automate flow. And looks like I've already got everything in. The reason that happens is because I've already been an existing Power Automate user. And in this case, it needs two connectors. It uses SharePoint Online and it uses the Office 365 Outlook connectors that I've already used before. However, in your case, if this is the first time that you're using it and you haven't used these connectors, another window will show up saying, hey, these are the two connectors that you're going to use. It gives you a verification step, just an additional one, right? So now I'll click on close. And on the top right, it's actually giving me an update that, hey, this Power Automate flow is getting created. And if you click on it, you will actually see this little additional section. It says that, hey, it's currently in an updating process. So basically just hang in there for a while. And what it does is it's basically not giving me an update, like, how much percent is completed. It really doesn't do that. It's just telling me it is in progress. So basically just hang in there for a while. So now all we have to do is basically just wait. And there you go. It has gotten completed. In fact, right, it says that the work progress tracker, the list name that I give, has been updated. So over here, it marks as complete. But there's one thing we got to verify though. We actually got to go to the Outlook over here, and there it also sends me an email notification. in my email notification, it says that, hey, your due date reminder is ready to be used. Basically, that list and the flow that we created, it's completed and it's ready to be used. I can also go to my Power Automate flow, and right over here in my default environment, now when I go to my flows, in my flows over here, we actually see this new list created. Now from the testing that I've done, I have noticed two things. Sometimes you have this interesting correlation ID. Sometimes you just have the text. So it just varies on what it does. All in all, it gives you the full functionality to go ahead and even change the name. So most of the times, all I was getting was just a due date reminder, but sometimes you may get this correlation ID as well. So I'll just go ahead and now update that name, and this is your flow. The key important thing is that this was the flow that was created completely automatically for you, and over there it's in your default environment. But let's take a look at the flow, right? So it is a recurrence flow, which means that you've got the flexibility to go ahead and change that. This one's running once a day, so you can go ahead and change this to as many times as you want. Then you also have the full flow functionality. So over here it says days to remind me in, input is 3. You could change that to whatever. I also like that it actually goes ahead and uses this entire scope action, a really great action that is available in the Power Automate. And you can actually go and see everything that it's doing. It's using the SharePoint get HTTP action. You can go and see that. It's going and grabbing all the lists. You can go and see that as well. It's automatically go ahead and selected the SharePoint list that we used. It factors in all of that. So that little extra time that it took to go ahead and create the template and go ahead and create the Power Automate flow and then to give you a notification, trust me, that little extra wait time was worth it because it did all of this for you automatic. And then you do have the flexibility to go ahead and changes things however you want. You've got full access to that Power Automate Outlook flow, which is going on over here. You can change the text if you want, but all in all, this full functionality is available for you. The other thing that it does is it does go ahead and run one flow automatically, because you and I know that we didn't come over here and add another item. That was a brand new list. When the flow was created, we just went and edited the flow. So it goes ahead and runs one test flow automatically just to verify that everything is successful. And I really like that it goes ahead and does that, because that just proves that everything is done. And if it didn't, for whatever reason, you've got verification over here that, hey, there was some kind of failure. So this was the first one that we created. Let's go and take a look at what these other two also look like. So to save us some time, I did go ahead and select the content scheduler template, the list template. And then when it came up, I also went and opted in to go and create a Power Automate flow. And there, now it's completed. It actually says that my Power Automate flow is completed. I click on it and went and actually give me that update. Next thing I can do is I can go to my Power Automate itself. And over here, I see the next one. See, this one was just created a minute ago. When I go and click on it, it says that that's the one which actually has been, newly created over here. And I also got an email notification. The email notification is this one right over here. The same thing that is created gives me the one. See, content scheduler, that's the one that is created. So now let's go and actually take a look at it. I'll go and click on this pencil button over here. And let's take a look at how this one's flow is created. Now again, in this one's flow, I can go ahead and rename it. I can go ahead and do whatever name that I want. That's the easy part over here. But it went ahead and created this entire Power Automate flow, this entire logic all by itself. So it's a scheduler one, which means that it automatically has the recurrence, which means that this one actually runs once a day. You've got the option to go ahead and change it. And now you've got all of this other functionality as well. And you kind of see that the commonality between the three flows, that it's going and making this HTTP calls, but it gives you the functionality to actually go ahead and make all these changes. Also, if you are a Power Automate maker, the one who's been making on them, this is a great time to actually click on any of these things and see how the formulas are. You can actually use this as a little bit of reverse engineering to see how all of this is being built, so you can actually learn and enhance your knowledge. Same thing over here from this HTTP section. It is making get HTTP calls. Well, go ahead and see how those get HTTP calls are working. But all in all of this works over here, and you can literally start using it as is, or it gives you the ability to go ahead and even change and manipulate it. So now that you've seen the second one, let's go and see the last one as well. So the last one is the recruitment tracker. And I'm back over here again, my SharePoint Online. Click on the plus new, click on list, and the recruitment tracker is right over here. So I'll click on the recruitment tracker. It gives me an overview of the template. I like it. I'll click on use template. And over here, I'll just go and say the demo number 3. Click on create. And now it goes ahead and actually creates the SharePoint list for us, something that has already been there. And then once it finishes building the list, the pop-up comes up. Yep, I love it. And I'll go and click on next. And once I do that, it is verifying all the connections to the other apps, all the other connectors for what automation is needed. So once it verifies that, it'll either show me an update on it or it goes directly to the next section of it, which is updating the flow. So in this case, it did give me a verification that these are the only two connectors I need. I love it. Click on next. And now it's telling that I can go and close the screen. However, it is in the process of creating the Power Automate flow. And when I click on it, it's just giving me this update over here. So now all we have to do is just wait. And so now we have that third Power Automate flow also automatically created. I got that notification over here. And I can also go to my Power Automate flow. There it is. This is the one that has just been created, the recruitment tracker. And if I go into my Power Automate, which I can just click from here, I can go into my Power Automate. And in my Power Automate, again, in that default environment, we should now see our third flow. And that flow is right over here, the one that was created a minute ago. So I can now click on that one. And over there, we can actually take a look at the logic of this one. Again, keep in mind, all of this has automatically been created. We didn't have to do any of this. It just verified all the connections that are being built over here. And this is a pretty robust flow. Again, it's got a recurrence. We can change which one we want over here. It's got the full scope action. Inside the scope action, it has got the get commands. The get calls that it's doing. We've got the flexibility both to see it and manipulate it. In the other two scope ones, again, there's the functionality to go ahead and do these get calls. But then it also goes ahead and sends out a Outlook email. We've got the full functionality to even change the body of the Outlook email. So I do like that. Look at this. It is a pretty big Power Automate flow that it already went ahead and created for you, giving you the flexibility to also go ahead and manipulate the text however you see fit. So these are actually three really powerful templates, really powerful flows. Again, all automatically created for you, giving you the flexibility also to go ahead and see it, and then afterwards manipulate however you see fit. So as I was testing all of the three flow scenarios, there were a few things that I personally wanted to verify. And the first most important thing was, well, what happens if I delete the SharePoint list? Does that automatically delete the flow? Or what happens if I delete the flow? Does that automatically delete the list? So let's do it one by one, all right? So the first one we're going to do is the recruitment tracker. I'm going to go back to my SharePoint list, and right over here, the recruitment tracker, I'm going to now delete the SharePoint list. Let's see if it actually goes ahead and deletes the Power Automate flow. So I'm going to click on the list settings, again, recruitment tracker, and in the list settings, I'll click on delete this list, and I'll click on delete this list option, which means the list is gone. Next, also text the second scenario is that for the content scheduler, I will go ahead and delete the flow. Like right over here now in the content scheduler, the list is still there. I'll hit refresh just so that you can see I'm not doing anything out of the ordinary. The content scheduler list is still there, but I'll go to the flow, which is the content scheduler. I'll click on these ellipses over here and I'll click on delete. It's going to ask me that, hey, you're going to delete this. Are you sure? I'm going to say, yes, I'm sure. And now we're going to go ahead and just confirm the two things. So we went ahead and actually deleted for that first scenario, right? We went and actually deleted the SharePoint list. Let's come over here and let's refresh this a few times just to make sure, hey, did we actually go ahead and actually lose the Power Automate flow as well? And we did not. See, the work progress tracker is still there. We haven't lost the Power Automate flow. So even though when it's building the flow automatically for you, after that, there is no internal backend connection that it has. When you delete the SharePoint list, you have to manually come and delete the Power Automate flow as well. Because let's face it, the flows, if they're based on a recurring schedule, when it runs, it doesn't have access to the SharePoint list. It will keep failing over there and you will lose some of your flow runs. So kind of keep that in the back of your mind, all right? That if for whatever reason the SharePoint list gets deleted, you got to come and delete that Power Automate flow. And let's think about it. This is not something new. You got to do that in general with Power Automate and SharePoint list connector as it is, all right? So this is not a new situation that you have to factor in. This is something that you've always had to factor in. And then we also went and did the other scenarios. We went and actually deleted the Power Automate flow. However, the SharePoint list still remains. So we don't have to worry about, hey, if accidentally the flow was deleted, do I lose my SharePoint list? Do I lose my content? No, your SharePoint list will still remain over there. So that's actually a good thing. However, it's one of the things that was kind of in my back of my mind, so we went ahead and tested it over there anyway. So as a quick recap, currently there are only 3 SharePoint list templates that can be used, which also give you this additional functionality to create Power Automate flows. A trend that I noticed in all of them is that all of them had the same trigger type, which was the scheduled flow ones. In addition, you do not need any additional license. Your M365 license to create this Power Automate flows is completely fine. No additional license needed. And if you noticed, all of them were using the standard connectors, which are mostly SharePoint and the Outlook. That's why your M365 license is sufficient. And then after that, you can go into the body of the flow. You can even manipulate the title, do some reverse engineering to actually learn the logic over there. You know how there were the get items and then there was the HTTP actions. You can learn a few things from that. And you can even modify it or enhance it, because you can go and change to the Outlook action. You can go and manipulate the body over there and really customize it for your need. So hopefully this video was helpful. And as always, keep using Power Automate. Hey everyone, hopefully you found this video useful. And if you did, can you help me help you? Can you subscribe to this YouTube channel? Because remember, I provide fresh content on a weekly basis and it's 100% free. So if you have subscribed, thank you so much and pass the word. But if you haven't, subscribe, click on the bell notification and let the learning begin.